speaker is Reverend Kevin Lee, who was born and raised in Texas, but now resides in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Kevin has had several spirit-guided experiences, one of which led him to find the Metaphysical Church Chapel of South Florida. Today he is the pastor of that very church, which hosts weekly guest speakers and the finest mediums in the world. Reverend Kevin first began exploring mediumship after attending a precipitation seance. This experience not only inspired his exploration into mediumship, but has stimulated him to begin writing a book about his precipitation mediumship. And I'll be talking a lot about that tomorrow during the workshop. Reverend Lee has attended the Arthur Findlay College of Mediumship in Stansted, England. He has also taken mediumship training at the Inner Spiritual Center of Fairfield, New Jersey. And recently he was interviewed by Sandra Champlain, on the internet radio show We Don't Die. That is a fantastic website on the internet, if you get a chance, We Don't Die. We are most fortunate that Reverend Lee could carve out enough time to be with us today, and I'm overjoyed that he is able to invite Reverend Lee to the lectern and to share some thoughts with us.
All right, please. Reverend Sidney, you know, what a pleasure, what an honor to be here, and what a delight to actually have family of Reverend Carl's here. That was a nice surprise. I didn't know you'd be here. And I never met Reverend Carl, but through Reverend Sidney and all of the times we've been able to, few times actually, we've been able to spend time together, but we speak a lot through Facebook and phone. I've come to know Carl, and I've grown very fond of him, so I think it's very interesting that when Reverend Sidney had asked me to come, and I thought, why is this man asking me to come to this Connecticut? I don't even know the church. I don't know who this person is. But I realized even more as these ladies and Reverend Sidney were speaking in the last hour or so, I realized that Spirit needed me to be here for part of my journey. So it's really interesting how Spirit does guide us into these lily pads, as I call them, right? You know, getting across that great pond of life. But Reverend Sidney had mentioned to you all that I am from Texas, and you know, so I have to take us on a little journey to Texas because I've got to share with you a little bit of my great state. So we're gonna lighten the mood, if you will, just a little bit. And I want to take you on a journey. It was a very beautiful day. It was a spring day in Texas, the hill country of Central Texas. Now, our state flower, which is the Texas bluebonnet, it was in full bloom. It was a cobalt sea of blue. Now, there was this handsome young pastor inside this little Southern Baptist church, and he had this fine little congregation dressed in their Sunday best, hats and handkerchiefs, purses, everything matched, everything so pretty. And he said to that congregation, now, folks, I want you to know, if you will give $1,000, I will let you pick out the next 3 hymns. Well, this little old lady in the back stood up and she said, "Preacher, I'll give you $1,000. And he said, "Well, that's mighty nice of you, ma'am. I tell you what, go ahead, pick out the next 3 hymns." So she looks out across that congregation and she says, "I'll take him and him." That's so cute. I like telling them. All right. Well, you know, that woman, she clearly made up her mind. And so I want to talk with you all. Now I know why, listening to all these other talks a little bit before. I know why I'm speaking on this, because apparently I need to be bringing a little bit of inspiration to this community to help your light grow a little bit stronger. You know, when I'm in my community, it's interesting, Reverend Sidney was saying how Carl referenced church as a gas station, a spiritual gas station. That's exactly what I felt. I didn't know that was the word. People do come because a lot of times their light is a little bit dim. Their energy is a little bit low because life is so harsh here in the physical dimension, right? So they come for a little bit of inspiration, and they get filled up, and off they go. They take flight, right? And so it's interesting because, you know, that woman had made up in her mind exactly what she wanted. In the book of Proverbs, in chapter 23, there's this verse that I love, and it says, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." Could be a woman too, right? As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. That's really about the mind principle. And so often in all of the different churches, whether you're spiritualist, a Unitarian Universalist, whether you're a Unity practitioner, Center for Spiritual Living, metaphysician, spiritist, whatnot, almost all of them talk about affirmations and mind principle. And I teach so often that when you change your mind, you'll change your life. Because we're not this human body, we are the mind principle. We're consciousness, we're energy. You know, someone mentioned a little bit earlier, we're energy. We're actually conscious energy. When we talk about that principle of God, we talk about God as an infinite intelligence, don't we? God's not a man on a throne. I should have brung it. Oh no, that was a little Texas. I should have brought it. But there's a video that I play at my church, and it's called God is Not a White Man. And I love this little video. It's the silliest thing you've ever seen. But it really reminds people, that's exactly what I was taught growing up. I didn't believe it. I knew that they weren't telling me the full truth, but they couldn't explain the truth to me in my Southern Baptist church. I didn't believe it because whenever I would try to bring the other church in town, the other Baptist church, which was a black church, it got me in trouble. But what was I trying to do? Bring that light together. I felt I could feel that separation in my community, so I was trying to inspire our community to grow stronger by joining together. My community didn't feel that way. I was about 8 years old when I started that mess. Right? It got me in trouble. It was kind of funny. They took me out of my position as lead of the Sunday school class. That was my first inkling that something wasn't right when I was being told. And so I went through life, and I had some psychic experiences. Went off to college. In college, I met a Buddhist monk who told me all about my family, that there were peanut farmers and cattle farmers, and how the heck does this little Asian guy who barely speaks English, I could barely understand him, how do you know all this stuff? And I started to realize what this man could do was what everything that I was mystified in the Bible, all the gifts of the Spirit. I didn't know the word was really metaphysics. Metaphysics just means the study of the things beyond the physical. And that's what my soul was seeking since I was a child. So when I found my church about 10 years ago and walked, actually, Spirit guided me out of the house. Got in my car, drove south out of Fort Lauderdale, drove past this sign that said Metaphysical Chapel, and I thought, what? How did those two words go together? Because I was taught those words are opposed. And so Spirit guided me into that community, and so began my journey. So began my journey. You know, it's interesting because the cosmic mind principle, that is infinite intelligence that we call God, that principle gave us all a powerful mind that has all the potentials of itself. Of itself. The moment our human mind connects and aligns to that cosmic mind, anything is possible. And the yogis and the prophets in the Bible, they all demonstrated that. They've been doing it for thousands of years, and they still do it today across this planet. We can instantly heal the body with our thoughts, right? When we step into alignment with that vibration of truth, we can instantly heal our body, other people's bodies, the environment around us. When we can even manifest food for the hungry. What's in the Bible? Manna from heaven, right? We can transform one item into another, and all of this through the power of the mind. And God didn't create humanity to be ordinary. God didn't create us to be that way. God didn't create us to roam this planet just existing. God created us to be great. Because we're children of God, right? So we're heir to all of God's greatness. That's powerful. That's how powerful we are. So many people walk through my church doors. They're damaged. They're seeking healing. They're seeking a little bit of transformation in their life. They come through seeking community. They're seeking transformation in their life. They're coming seeking a sense of purpose. They don't know the purpose. They don't feel that wind of Spirit guiding them through life like I do. I'm no better than you because I have a title. I just went through the hoops to get the title. Big deal. Anybody can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. You know, Jesus, it's interesting. I even learned some stuff from Reverend Sidney. It was really good. I enjoyed hearing that. You guys have a blessing in your church. But what I understand is that principle of God that works through all of us equally. Doesn't matter if you're the homeless man or you're the president. It's all the same principle. It's all that principle of God. And so we have that greatness within us. So never think that you're not enough. Never feel you don't matter. Because you wouldn't be here if you weren't important. You wouldn't be here. Your soul would never have brought you forward. Do you understand that? It's powerful. You have a reason to exist in this dimension. You are part of the ingredient, as silly as it may be, of that the great cake that we are, I guess, if you want to call it that. We're such a blessing in the universe. Life. And we're a necessary ingredient within the universe, and that's why we exist. In the book of Genesis, chapter 1, it says, "So God created man in his own image." We know God's not a man, but that's what Scripture says, conveniently written in the male form. And it's interesting because the metaphysical interpretation of that Scripture is this, that God created us in its own image as individualized units of itself. So in a way, we're little packets of God's greatness. We're shards of that great crystal in the sky. We literally hold within ourselves the power to create worlds. We create reality with our affirmations. We create reality with our minds. We're symbolically God's children because we are God in expression. When Jesus said, and I liked how Reverend Sidney brought that forward, Jesus said, "Know ye not your gods?" That's exactly what Jesus was talking about, that principle right there. You are God in expression. You're not humans running around, roaming around on the planet. You are God in expression. My hands, my feet, my voice, my kindness, that is God in expression. So when you do good deeds, when you do charity work, you are not only bringing the vibration of love more profoundly into this dimension, you're bringing God forward. That's how powerful you are. That's why you were made. You are an extension of that principle of God to really manifest itself fully into this dimension. Powerful. It's interesting, we really are more than these bodies. So often we complain about how, oh, my shoulder hurts. You know, I do complain. From volleyball accidents, kicking desks at work, things like that. I talk about, oh, my body aches. You know, I need an ibuprofen. And we're not our bodies. We're actually vibration. I love that. Someone said, we're vibration. We're consciousness in motion. There's a consciousness that controls all this gravitational repulsive forces that creates this reality called Kevin. Something is controlling all of this energy to be present in this moment. Consciousness, divine mind, my higher self, the soul. Beautiful. More than anything else, every one of us wants to be great, don't we? But I'll tell you this, some of you don't believe that the seed, I see it everywhere I go, some of us don't believe that the seed God gave us will grow into anything great. And that's why I say so many people walk through my church doors and they're seeking that healing, they're seeking the sense of community and transformation. But folks, when you think that way, that's fear in the mind. And what is fear? I know Reverend Sidney's taught you all this. What is the acronym for fear? False. What?
False energy appearing real.
Exactly. Good enough. I say false evidence, false energy. It's all the same thing. False evidence appearing real. Isn't that beautiful? I love that acronym. You got to change your mind if you want to change your life. And if you've got fear inside you, that's holding you back, and you're actually speaking words of defeat in your life. So what you've got to stop saying, I can't, I won't, I'm not. That's not what God is. You can't just go around saying all that stuff, because when we do that, what are we doing? We step into that vibration, the lack of poverty, the lack of abundance in our life. We're really in a state of poverty consciousness when you're saying all those things. So that's why you got to affirm. I'll tell you this, you got to repent. Well, I heard that a lot growing up. You got to repent. You know what that means? Right? You got to repent. Those were fighting words. Let me tell you, that's a weapon, that word. Those two words. Let me tell you what it really means. Change your thinking. Change the direction of your thinking 360, actually 180 degrees in the opposite direction. So when you're thinking, I can't, I'm not, I won't, you got to repent, change the direction of your thinking. That's your metaphysical lecture for the day right there. You got to change. If you don't want to learn anything else, learn that. You can walk into any church and understand they're not being, from their perspective, they're trying to get you to, I want to go into that. But basically, I'll tell you this. You got to change the direction of your thinking. And you got to focus on the principle of God, and you got to change your mind, because you're going to change your heart. And you got to actually expect to achieve greatness. Expect it. Because why? We're God in expression. We can be nothing less than great. All right? If you find people in your lives that are saying negative things to you that are almost stopping your greatness or taking you off your path, you got to ignore the haters. Don't engage them, right? You got other people's opinion of you are none of your business. That was the best thing one of my mentors ever told me. Other people's opinion of you is none of your business, whether they love you or whether they hate you. If they hate you, you're not going to have such a nice day. You might buy into it. You don't want to buy into it. You don't want to listen to all that negativity, right? Push that away. You don't want to buy into all all the bloating of the ego and blowing sunshine your way, you can accept it and graciously be kind to it, but you don't want to get a big ego from it. So again, their opinion is none of your business. You have to be strong in your faith as spiritualists. You have to be strong in your spirit and your connection with spirit, right, to move forward in life and not allow other people's opinions to sway you, to inflate you or deflate you. That's important. You know, when people come after us and they're taking the low road, I know Reverend Sidney's taught you all this, you got to take the high road, right? You got to take the high road in life. It's not easy. It does take effort to walk uphill, right? Life is not meant to be easy, and this life is meant to be a challenge. And so this life is a challenge because it's through the challenge and putting forward that energy that we actually transform our souls, right? We burn off karma, if you want to look at it that way. We burn off karma through the effort. So what we got to do in those times when people are bringing us down, you got to think internally, and you start saying to yourself, yes, I will, I can, I shall. I will, I can, and even I am. I love that even better. I will, I can, I am. You know, this principle is so interesting because it teaches us how when we come upon problems in our life, when we come upon a scary situation, something that brings that false evidence appearing real into our mindset, when we come upon that, we got to believe that there's a solution. Because if we can walk and talk and be the example in life, right? If we can do that, then we can be the solution. If you can be the example, you can be the solution. And so why do I say that? Because would God create us and not give us the tools in order to achieve or to overcome our situations? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Every problem has a solution. Every question has an answer, and that answer is you. You are the answer, and you've always been the answer. That's the funny thing. You know, when there's a story, I don't remember how it goes, but it talks about how when God wanted to hide itself, it did it within the human condition. And so what have humans always been doing? Looking at all of the distractions externally when God was always within. They were always looking at the fire, and they were looking at lightning, and they were looking at tornadoes and earthly conditions back in ancient times. That's what they considered to be that God principle, right? The spirit world. And as we supposedly got more educated, you know, that book got a little thicker over there. You know, the book came together and all the other great books of all world religions, right? They found God in different ways. And so every problem has a solution, and that's you. Every problem. And the crazy part is, the answer was never outside of you. It was always inside of you. It was in your mind. God is that one source reality from which we sprang, from which all of the spiritual faculties, the gifts of the Spirit inside us, we have those inside of us to achieve a state of greatness. We have gifts of Spirit inside of us. Someone mentioned that earlier. We all naturally have them, right? You really don't have to go take a class. You need a little guidance, yes, but you don't have to go take a class to get it, right? To learn the crystal layout and the proper prayer and the mantra and how you sit on the floor. That's not what it's all about. Those are just little tools and tricks to get you into the vibration, to allow to unfold what's already inside you. It's already inside you. You are that expression. Your job is to find it and unfold it. The flower is within. The lotus is within. That's what the yogis say, right? The 1,000-petaled lotus. And so that's what I want to inspire in you today, is that every single one of you, that's how important you are in the world. And each of you, you're charged with the duty to bring God's presence more fully into this dimension. And that's a very powerful statement. That's a big personal responsibility, right? I know at my church we have this principle. We affirm in personal responsibility, and that no individual, right, can die on the cross for our sins. We are personally responsible for our karmic actions, the times when we choose to support others in need, and the times when we choose not to support them. We're responsible for that. We create our happiness or unhappiness as we live in harmony or discord with natural, physical, and spiritual laws. Right? That's what that means. It's interesting, Mahatma Gandhi, I absolutely love him. If you've never read books about Mahatma Gandhi, an incredible yogi. A lot of people don't think of him that way. But he was a yogi, and he said this: be the change that you wish to see in the world. Powerful. And I want you to be the example in our community. I want you to start here at the Gifts of the Spirit Church. I want you to be a change in your community. You be the change. You have the power. You have the light within you. And how do you do that? Find a need and fill a need. I say that so often, I probably drive my church crazy. Find a need and fill a need. I'm always looking for a volunteer. But why I say that is, we're supposed to serve in the vibration of love, faith, and charity. That was really the heart of Jesus' ministry. That Jesus the prophet. And I heard a little while ago that one of your church attendees is experiencing a life crisis right now, and that person actually shared with me the way, the resources, in different ways they were supporting that person's need. And what is that? That is somebody who has found a need within your community and has begun to fill that need. That is bringing God forward into your spiritual community. And that's powerful. I guarantee you that we have all thought this next question in some form or another in life. I certainly have. Do I matter? Do I matter? And what I want to say is that we all matter. You exist for a divine purpose that's powerful, that's life-changing. You exist for a purpose not to be, as I say, a mushroom on a log in life. Not to be a rusty soul in retirement, right? But to actually bring forth God's powerful greatness into this dimension through your human embodiment, through your mind principle, through the metaphysical understanding of all that is. That's your purpose. So I want you to say this together out loud. I matter, I am enough.
I matter, I am enough.
That's pretty good. You did better in my group. Let's say it again. I matter, I am enough.
I matter, I am enough.
See, I thought I was speaking to the dead, but I'm speaking to the living here. I like this. I like it. All right, so you guys do matter, and you do matter because you wouldn't have an existence, like I said earlier. You wouldn't have an existence in this dimension if you were not a necessary ingredient for life on earth. I want you to realize that. And some of you may be thinking, well, I know you're thinking, because I can hear some marbles running around up here. I know you're thinking this. Okay, so I'm part of God's plan, and that's all good, but how can I be great? What can I do? What is my purpose? We hear that so often. People come to us asking, what's my purpose? You got your purpose. You got a church. You know, what is my gift? What am I to do in the world? Where's your heart? What brings love? What inspires you? What makes you want to get out of bed and go do it? That's part of your purpose. What causes your soul's light to beam? I'll tell you one of mine, when I do medical missions in the Philippines. That's one of the few times, actually probably the only time in my life, when I could feel my soul beaming. And I finally understood what that meant. Because what was I doing? I had traveled, spent a lot of money, took a lot of time off work, and I had traveled across the planet to this place called the Philippines to give of my services. I don't think we even mentioned it. I do nursing anesthesia in addition to being a minister of a church. And I was giving my skills to a community who didn't even have toothbrushes. It was really sad. Talk about some poor people. The Philippines is very poor. And in that time, when we opened those doors on that first day and we looked out, holy moly, talk about Jesus's these people coming to receive a healing. These people flooded in by the thousands. And in 1 week, we served 10,000 people. That was medical. Now, the surgical part, we probably did about 250 surgeries. That was my part. But talk about a sea of people desperate to be sought. We saw all those 10,000 people, and we did about 250 surgeries. And in that moment, I realized that was part of my purpose, which was my nursing purpose. What is nursing? Service. Healing people. Really, it's healing. That's the basis of everything. What is mediumship? Healing the spirit, bringing through evidence of your loved ones in the spirit world of life. What is when I do private readings for people? I'm healing their spirit because I'm bringing through knowledge and information that heals their life. When I spend time with them, maybe I'm sitting at their bed and somebody is crossing over in their life. What am I doing? I'm healing the spirit of that family or the individual just by being present. So all of the love of my service for humanity, at the very core of love, is healing. We're healing the spirit of other people through our service. And so I want to encourage you all to consider finding your purpose where your soul beams, where things make you so happy you can't not do it. That's what finding your purpose is. You don't need a medium to tell you what your soul purpose is. You take the time. You sit down and listen with your spirit. And you listen to see where you're guided in life. I reaped what I sowed. When I went on that mission, I reaped what I sowed from that mission. I got back way more than the money I spent. It showed me I was exactly where I need to be in life. And it showed me, even before I even knew what all this metaphysical stuff was, it showed me that there was a power greater than myself. It was what I call now like the wind of spirit at my back. I can feel where I'm guided in life. I can feel where spirit needs me to be present. When someone asks me to be at a church, I don't really question it anymore. I can sense it. I throw my spirit into that thought and just say, how does it feel? Is it positive or negative? Do I feel like spirit is lifting me up with this question, or do I feel like spirit is just flat or pushing me a little bit further away from it? There's my answer. They either lift you up and you do it, or its spirit is pushing you away as though that's not part of your journey. It's not on your path. So just graciously say no and move forward. That's how we do it. That's how easy it is. Finding your purpose, your calling, is that thing that causes your soul to beam in such a way that life all around you vibrates. And the thing that you do that brings you the greatest happiness, that's your soul purpose. That's your spiritual purpose. I guarantee it. Now I can hear you thinking, oh Kevin, well that's great and all, you got a nice definition, but what's the thing that is my calling, that's my purpose? And the only way you're ever going to find that is to actually sit with your spirit, take some time, turn off the cell phone, turn off Facebook, turn off the reality TV shows, and sit with yourself. I tell my congregation every day, every Sunday, meditation is the key. I used to poo-poo that and not really meditate in the very beginning. I wasted a good 5 years. What I realize now is meditation is the key. When you sit in meditation, or what they call in England sitting in the power, when you sit in meditation and spirit draws near and you're just sitting with no expectation of the experience, and you're literally sitting to quiet the mind, you're beginning to harmonize your spirit so that it begins to elevate, to resonate at a much faster frequency. And so the faster my frequency becomes through the meditative process, the closer I get to spirit, and the easier it is for them to lower their vibration so that they can make contact with me, to guide me, to give me those nuances, so I'll know exactly where I need to be and who I need to be with. In Psalm 73 it says God will guide you. That's what that's talking about. Metaphysically it's telling us that God guides us through all those hunches and through what some people call God speak, right? You got to do the work. You got to do the work. Don't go to a medium asking them for activation and all this kind of silly stuff. You got to do the work. You're here to do the work. You know, I teach my community, don't sit there and pray and beg God to bring out your gifts. You have to do the work. You've got to sit down and take time. You've got to, some don't like this, but I say it anyway, you've got to tithe 10% of your time back to Spirit, because Spirit gave you life. So why are you not taking a Sabbath every morning or every night, giving back a portion of that which Great Spirit has given you in your life? It's very important. My question is, what will your story be in life? When the day comes when you cross the River Jordan, as we used to sing in Baptist churches, right? And you go into that great land, that great summer land. When you go, what will your story be? What are you going to leave behind? What will that contrail be? What will the vibration of the space be of the community that you leave behind? You're not really leaving it, but physically we drop that body shell and our spirit grows much bigger and faster, higher rate of frequency, and we move on to the higher realms of life. What will your story be? What book will you write with the story that you create with your life when you serve other people? When you could have been walking up to people, your brothers and sisters in this home, asking them, what can I do to pray for you? What can I do to sit with you? What can I do to help you with in life? You know, in my community, what I was seeing was people were coming to church to get filled up. Then they were gone. I didn't see them for another month. So I used to joke and say, I've got 4 churches because I see you once a month. Because I count all of you coming in the door. So I only see you once a month. So I see you. So basically 4 congregations. So what they were doing is coming to get refilled. And in a way, what my people would call Sunday Christians, they were being almost like monthly metaphysicians. Right? That's what we called it. Sunday Christians. My family, they had some interesting words and concepts. And on Sunday, boy, they were pretty. Hair was nice. Clothes was nice. They smelled good. Words were nice. And they were friendly. Oh, well, they'd talk about you when they left church and went home to eat the chicken. right? And that's what we call Sunday Christians. But we can't be like that. We can't be the monthly metaphysicians. In life, you've got to actually step into the vibration of service every day. What can I do for my community? Why I bring that up is because of this. You have an opportunity to build a house on rock. A house on rock. Remember that story in the Bible? Some of you may or may not. But the house has to be built on rock, because if we're not serving those that are in our community first, and we don't build up that blessing and the abundance of our community, no one else is certainly walking in through that door. The Buddhists, the Catholics, the Muslims, the Christians, they're not walking through that door to support this community. You are the community. You are the foundation of your community. So we've got to step up and we've got to serve each other, find a need and fill a need, right? We've got to ask our brothers and sisters, what can I do to support you on your journey? And so that's how you build a very strong, vibrant community. That's how you inspire greatness in a community and bring spiritualism, the gifts of the Spirit. You bring that forward and you actually make a difference in the world. You bring more light into this dimension. You bring God forward more strongly when you serve your neighbor, right? Do unto others as you have them do unto you. I absolutely love that saying. Remember, it's all about changing the mind. Change your mind, you will change your life. And so hopefully today, with some of these little principles that all four of us have brought forward to you, maybe you've learned a little something. Maybe that will inspire you to make a change in how you serve this community. Because I know that Reverend Carl is so proud of what's been achieved these last 40 years. He's proud of Reverend Sidney, who's carried this torch. I mean, I'm sure the Olympians will tell you, carrying this torch 40 years, however many years you've been supporting it, that's a hard journey. Reverend Sidney has kept the light on in this church for a long time, but he needs your help. He needs your support. So I want you to find a need in the church and fill a need and carry that memory of Carl Hewitt forward for 40 more years. I want to be an old man in a wheelchair. Maybe it'll be a hovering wheelchair by then. I want to hover into this room, I'm going to give a short little sermon, and I'm going to say, I told you so. You guys could do it. You know, I want us to do an affirmation. I love affirmations. I love the I am presence kind of stuff. And I do this every Sunday at the end of my talks. So I want us to step in that vibration, to change our mind a little bit, to change the vibration of who we are, to raise our vibration. So repeat after me. I am an heir to God's greatness.
I am an heir to God's greatness.
I am perfectly and wonderfully made.
I am perfectly and wonderfully made.
I am the very presence of God on earth.
I am the very presence of God on earth.
Amen.
Amen.
Hey, women.
Amen.
All right. There's some inclusion there. There's going to be inclusion. Namaste.
I want to thank you, Reverend Kevin, and all our speakers for providing us with so much food for thought to continue on our journey.